think we're good to go. Yeah. Oh, looks good. All right. Hello, YouTube. It is your American Salaryman. I'm Dashbry. If you know me, then you know Reddit hates me, and possibly most of the community. I'm so sorry. Kidding. Probably not most. Very few, small portion of the community. Feels like a lot, though. I am a DDFF Ultima player. I'm currently rank 80, and I really enjoy the technical part of the game, but also the community aspect of the game. So I actually did a community survey, which I'm really excited for. So the results of the community survey, I kind of reviewed them on stream. Shout out to Kev for the form you see in front of you. The form is a mix of Google Sheets and Google Forms. Kev kind of created this out of nowhere on the fly. This is the second survey I've done, and he's kind of been helping me out. So shout out to Kev again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's a huge help, man. So if you don't know, this is a community survey for the DDFF community. That's Dissidia Final Fantasy. Dissidia Duelim Final Fantasy, if you're nasty. The form is intended to give us the information of what the average player CP is. So we've already done one here about the average player rank, which we did in the third season, I believe, or maybe second season, which I can show that a little bit later, but I want to cover what we have here in front of us now. So the poll results, as you can see, we have about 84 entrants. We had something like 85, 86, but a couple of the Redditors just didn't answer the question for the poll, so I didn't include them. It was really weird. Like they just kind of rambled off of how they're struggling in ranked and or doing well in ranked or stopped playing for some reason. Weird. But anyways, so we have the aggregate here. This is the total of all the information before all the graphs and made visible. I'm really excited for this because the last time we got 35 entrants and now we have about 84. This is huge. It's a mix of both the Reddit community and the Discord communities. I'm very excited for it. So to start off here, as you can see, the average total of players, I want to say near 50 or about 50%, is around 10,000 to 15,000. I did not expect that. I actually expected it to be between 15 and 20 because I felt like I had a really easy time breaking 14k power in season 1. So yeah, that's way more than I expected, or way less than I expected, I should say. So about 39% of the entrants were 10 to 15. About 15 to 20% of the entrants were 28. 28 of the entrants were about 15 to 20. And then about 10 of the entrants, I'm losing my mind, between 20 and 25. So again, 48%, 35%, 12%. Less than 4% of the community was 25,000 and above, or at least in the entrants that actually replied. Mastro was one of them, which I really appreciate him for. Zyson was another. And only one person applied as a lower than 5,000, which I'm sure it was a joke. Some dude named Loadlax, whatever. And no one over 30k applied. So there are a few of them there, but they're about less than 1% of the population of the player base. So that's pretty neat. Here we have all the characters, starting from most popular characters in high CP compared to the lowest or least played. What I didn't expect for this category was for Clive to be so low. Honestly, he was very popular on his release, and the fact that he's last is insane. Balthier as well, because Balthier is actually a usable good character. He's just not played often. I think Balthier's role is more relegated to like bodyguard for most units. So he's like a brave securer, honestly. Iroha, that's pretty impressive to me. I feel like I run into her in UR or Ultima all the time. Then of course Zidane, Prompto, Lightning, all the characters that are like pretty good but don't have really like a standoff. Riku is an interesting one because I feel like there's a lot of Rikus in high Ultima, but they're probably running the Riku cheese strat, so these are a lot of lower CP players. Which you would think there would be more, but there's not. Everybody seems to be enjoying their main. We have Terra, Onion Knight, Renoa, Cloud, Kryl, Fury, and Gaia. Kayn is the third highest. Did not see that coming. Titus, obviously his banner was released, and Sephiroth, because his banner is also one of the most recent. So of course the most recent character is going to be the highest played. Moving on to the community survey, so we can see it more visibly, what all this aggregate means is, here it is. About 48% of the community is about 10 to 15,000. So 48% of the community. That is a large margin that I did not expect to be within that power level. Though I do want to admit that a large portion of these entrants, let me see if I can go back to the forum responses, were somewhere around 14 to 13K. So we have a lot of 14 to 13K entrants. There's another one here, another one here. So they're basically close to breaking that ceiling, but not quite there yet. So that's really interesting to me. It's almost like they're intentionally staying there or avoiding focusing on one aspect of a character or one character. So in order to break the ceiling, you would need to focus all your eggs and all your resources on one character in order to reach the 15 to 20,000 range. That much I know. I think it's not very widespread that people are doing that. Of course, this is a MOBA. You want to play as many characters as you can so you can understand the game. That's what casual is for, but for ranks, you really need to focus those eggs. So back to the stats for the community survey. 48%, 10 to 15. 34%, 15 to 20. So the bulk of our community in high elos is actually between 15 to 20. I'm 20 myself. So yeah. Then we have 12% of the community that replied, which is 20 to 25,000. That's actually a massive amount of the community. Way more than I thought would be in that elo range. They're like U1, between U1 and U3. So these are the guys that we're looking at when you're talking about whales. And then the ultra super mega whales, the ones who like use Sephiroth and use Supernova and you get one shot. We have just about 3.7% of the community is that. So here we have the characters being played currently by the community. Obviously the most recent banner characters are going to be the ones that are going to be played the most. We have Sephiroth, Tidus, Kayn. Kayn, however, I'm surprised. People really like him, but he hasn't gotten any love at all. And he's very widely played. He's also a very good character, just in general, I would say. But yeah, so this is the results of the community survey. I have a couple of talking points that I want to get through very quickly because right now I think the video is just under a few minutes. So first of all, the community poll results for the average CP. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the average rank here for you real quick on Reddit. Okay, sorry about that. So here's the screen share that I wanted to pull up here. So here we have the difference between the community survey, do it this way, and over. Okay, so here we have the difference between the community survey and the ranked placements. So as you can see here, the ranked placement reply, again, this was a 35 entrant reply compared to an 84, which we currently have for the CP quality or CP total of most players. So you can see that roughly most players were diamond last season. This season, most players placed around Omega, I would say. So remember that this season here, the season that Diamond came out, this season specifically, Ultima had just released. So most players were expecting to get into Omega. You know, during the last burst or the final burst or whatever it is that they do, you get double points. Most players kind of roll over into that last bit for the reward zone for Omega. In this case, it looks like most of the players this season actually were mostly low to high Omega. And then most other players were in Ultima. Indicative of that is the fact that there was not a single Omega in top 100 this season. So what I think, I want to make a prediction for this while we're looking at this now, is this is only going to get better. Most players will end season after season only increasing in rank, and what I can do is I can show you or pull up some gameplay here real quick in order for you to see it. I'll do that in a bit. I just want to go ahead and again, note the fact that most players are within the 10 to 15,000 range, and even then they managed to make it to Omega. So the inclusion of Ultima being for the top 3.7 to 12.3%, effectively just the 15 to 16% of the player base, fills up Ultima. It leaves the space for Omega players to kind of make their own and make their way up higher in rank than they normally would be able to otherwise. So this is a really neat and interesting thing to think of, because when I talk about things like being one-shot by Sephiroth, they're just looking at me like, yeah, that's just what happens when you face Sephiroth. When realistically, if you're even level with Sephiroth or even strength in Sephiroth Supernova, you will actually just take about 60 or 40% of your HP. Being one-shot by Supernova is not what's supposed to happen. It's just what happens because of the world we live in that ranked scenario, which is an interesting thing. So yeah, this is the previous placements by rank, and this is the previous placements by CP. I want to say that from now on, it's only going to get better. Most players are going to be able to start reaching Ultima with only about 19 to 20,000 CP like I currently am. Most players are going to be in high Omega with just about 10 to 15. So there's a reason for that, but I'll make that part of another video, as there's some upcoming changes to the game that are going to be fantastic. It's actually going to close the gap between a lot of like Dolphins and free-to-play, and shorten the gap between a lot of Dolphins and Whales. So this is going to make it super playable, super fun. SE is kind of just proving at this point that they're really interested in the health of this game, especially for the tournament scene. As you can see, most of the tournament scene is changing towards what player custom tournaments are doing. So I really appreciate the official rule set and SE's effort to make this game actually enjoyable. A perfect example of this, and another reason to back up this claim, is in the beginning of the game, there were a lot of bugs, and a lot of these bugs are almost gone now. They're mostly been squashed, and there's a lot of player feedback. The ones that actually were enjoyable to players stayed. So the iframes during certain moves, and then carrying to the next, those were removed. But also now the ability to activate an ability in the middle of an ability no longer allows you to activate the ability immediately. Now you receive whatever CC you were in the middle of, it shortens it by a little bit, and then it activates upon you getting up from being on the ground. So that's a lot of improvement that they have. A good example is the activation times of certain abilities, and how cross slash has been kind of balanced out. A lot of these ninja buffs and ninja nerfs and ninja fixes are really improving the health of the game, and I think it's only going to get better in the future. So enough about that. I want to go ahead and put this away. I'm going to cut real quick, and I'm going to come back with my game on display, just so you can see what I'm talking about the improvements to ranked and how it's only going to get better and easier to reach higher rank, with a couple of case studies from players that I play with and a couple of players that are in higher elos. So give me a sec. Okay, awesome. Thanks for waiting. I know it was a quick cut for you, but it was a bit for me. So here's what I wanted to take a look at, right? This is the most interesting thing I feel like about the way that ranked rules are going, the changes that SE is making, and the progression of the ranked, I guess, community? No, ranked role? I don't know. The progression of ranked, let's just say that. So season 1, I was about 12 to 13k. I was Omega 4 already during that time. Of course, the number of battles that we're fighting is going to get less and less, because again, it's getting progressively easier. And easier in a sense, I mean, because of the community's getting used to the ranked system. There are a couple of fixes that I personally would be able to say, but I'll save that for another video. And I think Kev, since he's the originator of those thoughts, would probably have a better say in it rather than I would. I think he would explain it best. So you can see the following season, the second, I'm rank 163. That's about 90 spaces, maybe 100 spaces better than it was before. I don't know, math isn't my thing. But the battles fought and won drastically less. This is about a 40% win rate, so we managed to get there. Season 3, I end up being in 100. I just eked it out at the last second. Ultima was already released during the season here. The battles won is a total of 177, 300 battles fought. So at that point, win rate is higher than 50%, right? It's something like 56%. So this season, I managed to make 80, 20 points higher, way less battles fought, way more battles won. And on top of that, I'm sitting, or I was at the time of this recording, about 19.4K. So not too much of an increase, but drastically better results. And I have other case studies for this, and I'll tell you why I think this is after we go through the rest of the list of players that I want to go ahead and look through. So another example is Kev. He's my duo queue, part of the group of 5 that we usually queue with. Kev is around where I'm at, I think. I'm 80, Kev is 87. So Kev was about 18 to 19 at the end of the season. He reached 20 just as the season ended. So if you look here, he's got even better results than I do. He started at 774 his first season. Second season, when they didn't give rewards, he wanted to protest. But the community, again, gave feedback, not through hate, not through anger or mean responses, right? Like mean-hearted spiritedness. But instead, what we did is we actually, in mass, hit them with a feedback poll built in-game, which they then decided, let's pull it back. We should give rewards to everyone for every rank, not just one time, but every season they reach that rank, which is how it should be, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. We have a lot of power when it comes to communication, and the more respectful and professional we are with that power, the better the results we get. So here in the next season, Planet in Peril, this is when Omega was released, Kev went from being 775 to 310. That's a massive jump. He even played massively less games during that time. At this time, we started playing together, just so that I saw kind of how good he was doing, so we started duo queuing, and I decided maybe we should duo together in order to actually make it happen. So this season, it worked. He's 87. He was a few points under. He would have been higher if it wasn't for an accidental queue into a ranked game with a casual set. You know how it goes. Everybody has one of those moments. And again, games won much higher, games played a little less. It's only getting easier. So finally, this is the last example I want to show, because this is a higher elo example. We play with Zyson. He is one of the higher elo players. I personally wouldn't call him a whale, but he calls himself a whale. So I would say this is a good case study for, it's not just higher elo players being affected, it's everyone. So he was 74, season 1, 50, season 2, season 3, he was 48, season 5, he was 35, or sorry, season 4, he was 35. So again, his battles won much higher, his battles fought much lower, right? Like, well, actually for him, that's not true. But for the most part, it's true until this last season. During this last season, the reason why I think this is the case, why the game is becoming easier, why things are getting more effective, why playing and queuing is getting more effective, it's a 3-part reason. Primarily, it's because people are knowing that queuing together as a group is just much more effective than queuing with randoms. There are people who bot, there are people who just don't know how to play MOBAs, there are people who are just there to watch their favorite character move across the screen and do silly things, right? 2, the community is getting used to and better at playing the game. In general, everyone is starting to either join a Discord, start posting on Reddit, record videos and trying to understand what's going on. They're mechanically getting better at playing. And the third part, and probably the most important part, is something that not a lot of people have been considering. Something that's very cool about the way the game functions is that the more we play, the higher the ceiling gets, but also the easier it is to close the gap. We're getting things like memorias. We're getting things like abilities that are free, essentially. These collaboration abilities that allow us to experiment. One big gap that the average player has compared to the higher elo player with a more spender category or like a bigger wallet is that these guys get to try every single tool in the game. They get to play with everything. They get to mess around with it, fail with it, succeed with it, see what works. If you're a low spender, you really can't. It's really hard to do. So tools like this Orin prepare us for abilities like Waka, right? Here we have Tyro prepares us to use things or see how effective Ramza becomes, right? A lot of people had Ramza season 1. We didn't really start using it until Riku came out, even though on Kryl it is unbelievably good. An example is we had Bahamut Dark Pain, which we're about to get with Celeste Banner. We had things like Heal, and people weren't running Heal, and now we're about to get that in Celeste Banner. We had Barrier Break, and Barrier Break is really good, and now we have a Barrier Break UR, which is even better. This thing hits as hard as an Orin. whenever you hit someone with a shield. Like, the game all in and of itself is not only becoming better, the quality of life is increasing, the community is getting better, and it's only gonna go higher from here. Memorias at the moment are about to have a stat increase. I'll talk about that more in another video like I mentioned previously, but SE is really paying attention and they're really trying to make the game better for everyone. I really wholeheartedly believe that. If you're seeing this and you feel kind of like downtrodden or like left behind, don't feel that way. Honestly, if you feel that way, give feedback. I'll show you how to do that real quick because I want to do that. I want to do my part in order to make the community better, especially for all players. In this case, all you have to do is go to the settings. You're in the support tab. You can just contact the support team. I'll probably need to blur that out as a matter of fact. But yeah, just go to the support tab. In the support tab, go ahead and hit the help and support category here. Contact us. And when you do that, the contact us will actually open up a window where you can file a feedback claim for support. So it's honestly that easy. You can also log into your account. I do that because it's easier for them to contact me and reach out to me by email. So aside from that though, that's basically it. I want to go ahead and go over a few other things very quickly just to close out this segment. So we have our predictions here. We reviewed the CP. I want to make a shout out to everyone I climbed with. Again, thank you for the great games. Lucimon, I appreciate it. Your crowd is clutch. Your prompt is also super good. Zyson, obviously, game sense is immaculate and impeccable. A running lord, this man is persistent. He does not easily give up at all. I want to thank Kev, obviously, for doing with me, being a really good, brave, secure, and generally just an overall good player. Pyre, I really appreciate it. You're a goddamn wall. I feel super safe bursting near you all the time, every time. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks you guys for watching the video. I again appreciate the fact that everybody committed to the community survey, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.